listening to Power Producers Shop Talk, where we are refining and redefining the sales game by equipping you with the tools you need to differentiate yourself in the marketplace.
Listening to the podcast is only going to get you so far. Why not take your game to the next level? Check out Power Producer Basecamp on killingcommercial.com today.
Tactical skills that'll help you provide deliverable value to your clients and prospects.
Want to have the sweet swag that we send out from the Power Producers podcast for your clients and employees? Check out policyt.com today.
And action items that you can provide to take your prospects and clients to the next level.
Want to create an online presence but don't know how to start? Check out crushingcontent.com. It's done for you, so all you have to do is show up.
This is Power Producer Shop Talk, production redefined. Are you ready to feel the power?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game. Today, we are continuing on with our Becoming the Protege series that is replacing Shop Talk until you get to meet all of the contestants and coaches from Season 3 of the Protege. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Rountree. He is the principal of the Roundtree Agency, and they are powered by...
1 Point Insurance Partners.
1 Point Insurance Partners. I knew it was 1 point, and then all of a sudden I had a ADHD moment and froze, and I'm like, I'll let him give it to you. So we're going to talk about a lot of things. I have a feeling food will enter the equation at some point, but
I like it.
About Jeff, how he got to where he is, and why the Protege and what he thinks that's going to do for him. So welcome, my man. What's going on?
Hey, another day, brother. As I said, living the dream, man. Living the dream.
Yeah, I gave you, by the way, you might not have seen it, but I gave you the link to the pastrami recipe that I follow.
Sweet. I saw that this morning, was like pastrami brine. Wait a second. This has to enter my life.
So this is my problem in life. I go someplace. I'm like the insurance industry's Bobby Flay, right? The Bobby Flay throwdown, where I want to go up against whoever's the best at what they do.
Of course.
I'm not nearly that arrogant, but I go to places like Cat's Deli in New York, and I have their pastrami, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to make this at home.
All right. How do I do this?
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to fly to Cat's anytime I want to have a sandwich.
Right.
So we went there the first time a couple years ago, and it was incredible. And I told my wife, I'm like, this can't be that hard. Like, we need to figure this out. And I started going and doing recipe research and everything else. And I ended up finding this one that I'm working on right now, where you basically trim your whole brisket, you let it brine for 7 to 10 days, you flip it every other day, and then it's a combination of smoking it and steaming it. And I always wondered about the steaming it, because I follow Cats on Instagram, and every day I'm watching these guys cut fresh brisket, making sandwiches and corned beef, pastrami, turkey, everything. But they're always taking it out of what looks like a broiler or a steamer or something.
Right.
And sure enough, this is the first time I've followed this recipe I shared today, and for the actual cooking process. But there's a segment of that where you only bring the meat up to like 150 on the smoker, and then you take it the rest of the way by putting it in a baking pan with some liquid and over wrapping it with aluminum foil. So I was perfectly happy with the way it came out the last time, and we didn't do that. Now I'm super pumped, and I'm actually going to be in New York City Monday and Tuesday of next week, so I may get to have Cats early in the week and come over and have my own and compare them to them.
You can really, the taste buds will remember. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I have the same problem with food, man. It's a good and bad relationship, because I can end up in a rabbit hole real fast. And I don't need to be there at that moment, but and you did that to me this morning. So well done. Because I literally saw that post and was like, pastrami brine, what in the heck am I missing here?
What you're missing is a whole lot of ingredients, man. Like when you start reading what you have to put in there, it's pretty, like, I've got it now, but like I had a pretty big Amazon ticket the first time I made it, because I had to go get like whole coriander, whole allspice berries. And I wasn't going to run to Restaurant Depot. I could get it all same day. But it came in big bags. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to need it for down the road anyhow. But the one that's really like the rabbit hole that has us the worst right now is the fact that we went to Italy back in the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
and we took cooking classes when we were over there. I mean,
Oh, that's cool.
just a ridiculous experience. The lady that taught us is a chef at a Michelin star restaurant. Her family owns this resort called Il Falconieri in Tuscany. Absolutely gorgeous, right? So when my wife has gotten really good about using like Get Your Guide and some of these other apps when we travel internationally because it's
Right.
way cheaper, but still equally as reliable because you don't. And then when you meet the people, they're like, well, you can, if you ever come back, just book me direct and then you can save another 20% or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that's nice.
So what happened is she found this, we had talked about taking cooking classes. I got sick, like violently sick,
Oh, wow.
very, very early in our trip over there. Ended up being like a 24-hour stomach bug. So we didn't book anything, partially because we wanted to make sure I was going to, be back up and ready to go. Good news is I was only down for 24 hours and got up swinging. But when we got over there, we waited till the last minute. So it's like the night before we're supposed to take this cooking class, and Annie goes in and she books it. And she's like, I really hope the lady actually has it because it looked like, nobody else was going to be part of this class. And, it's kind of last minute and everything. And I just, hopefully it works out. Well, guess what? Lady messages us the next morning, and she's like, you guys booked late. I wasn't going to have the class, but if you really want, I don't mind doing it, kind of thing. And we're like, yeah, we would love to. So she comes and gets us, and we're staying in the village of Cortona, which is the village where the movie Under the Tuscan Sun was filmed. But it's like
Okay.
this old medieval village with only like 800 residents, stone walls all the way around. They still close the big gates at the entrance to the town every night. And so she pulls up to the front of the town, and we walk out through the big gates and everything, and she's picking us up in her Fiat, which I'm 6'4", man. I'm having to do all kinds of origami just to get into
Me
the
too.
Fiat. Yeah.
Me too.
I'm having to do all kinds of folding to get in there. And I end up, we get in and she's like, listen, I hate to do this to you, but because you booked as late as you did, our commercial kitchen where we normally would do this class is actually shut down. I just assumed you wouldn't have a problem with it, but if it's okay with you, I'm going to take you to my Tuscan farm home and teach you in my own kitchen. I'm like, get out of here,
Even
lady.
better.
This story
Yeah.
just got 10 times better
Yeah, that's
every time
awesome.
I tell it. So,
Much rather
like,
do that.
dude, we walk into this lady's place. It is exactly a scene out of a movie, and it's only me and my wife. And we're learning how to make, we learned how to make focaccia bread,
Oh,
tiramisu,
wow.
peachy pasta, cream sauce, a bruschetta with sausage and burrata that was just absolutely insane. But here's the problem. Number one, I don't need to eat a lot of pasta. Number two, she made it real easy for me to make the best pasta that I'll ever
Yeah.
make.
Right.
And, I told Annie when we got back, I'll never buy pasta in a box at the store again. There's no reason to
Yeah.
do it. And so even like this Wednesday night, for example, she took the kids to faith formation class at the church, and I was late getting home from work, so I just told her I'll take care of making dinner. And she came home, and I had a homemade pasta dinner waiting for her, where I made bucatini pasta with this I don't even remember the name of the sauce, but I follow a guy on YouTube that's an Italian chef. Like 4 ingredients. That's the thing that's crazy, man.
I
So
know.
you go look at that pastrami, Brian, and there's probably 17 or 18 things that go into that. And I had this amazing plate of pasta that was fresh. I made the pasta noodles and let them hang to dry while I was making the sauce, and it was
That's
perfect for
cool.
me to take it and cook it when it was ready. My sauce was literally 7 ounces of pancetta sliced up thin that you begin to brown until it starts to put oils into the pan. Then you take 9 ounces of cherry tomatoes halved and mix that in, and you let those start to break down. Then you add 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes, and then
Okay.
you sprinkle a little salt, a little black pepper. You let it simmer for like 20 minutes or so until it thickens up. Then you add freshly grated Pecorino Romano cheese. And by the time that all gets blended together, you will have cooked your pasta and you're ready to put it in there, toss it in the pan, and it's ready to go.
Awesome.
Italian cooking is so easy, but it's so fresh. It's incredible. There's so few ingredients that are in everything that you make, and very, very little like milk and cream and that kind of stuff. When we
Right.
make cream sauces, you're actually making the cream sauce with the pecorino cheese. That's what makes it creamy. So
Right.
first problem is we learned how to do it. Second problem is we had a 11-hour flight from Rome to Atlanta before we changed planes to come to Tampa. And I was on Amazon in Italian websites buying, like, we came home. I had big wheels of Parmesan cheese, big wheel of Romano, like all of the Italian sea salt, all the stuff directly from Italy being delivered. I racked up like $1,500 on Amazon on the plane, but now I have all this stuff. So like when we need to freshly grate cheese or whatever, I've got the wheel that I cut into like eighths and then we vacuum sealed and froze it. I just pull one out, let it thaw out, and we've got fresh ground right from the motherland. So anyhow, look, we can
That's
talk
great.
about that all day. Barbecue is a different story because I know enough about you to know that you're in the barbecue game too.
Yes, sir.
But talk to me about Protege, man. How'd you get into the insurance industry? What are you doing, and what motivated you to throw your name in the hat?
Yeah, so no, I appreciate it. I've been following you for a while, and the protege thing is kind of funny. So, I've been in insurance now for 16 years. Started out on the life side, was a life guy for probably 8 years. Ended up a corporate trainer on that side, and left that industry probably in '07, I think. Worked for Stillwater Insurance on the insurance side for about 3 years. Got my carrier experience. Was building their agency network up in Wisconsin, Colorado, that area. And in 22, got approached by a guy out of Colorado, and we decided to open one point with a commercial focus of really, trying to take as many hats off a business owner's head as we could. He owned HR company, staffing company, a few different things that we could tap into to add that level of service to that side. And he unexpectedly passed away end of October in 23, which obviously flipped the whole thing on its head. And, I took it all over myself, and we've been running since then. We've got a huge focus on commercial, big in, the health and fitness arena, the restaurant world, contractors. But I've been really looking at getting more granular, getting more niche. And I've been following you for probably a little over a year, I think. Watch your guys' videos and so forth. And somehow I missed the protege. Like 2 days after the deadline, I'm sitting outside in my kitchen, in my outdoor kitchen at my house, and looking at my phone, and I'm like, what the heck is this? I watch your video, and I'm like, well, I'm going to apply. I'm just going to see if they'll take it. So shot it. I emailed it to you that night. And I think a day or two later, I was in that email saying that I got in. I've already, I've really jumped in with both feet. I watched all of season one, and Derek, I've already reached out to Derek just to connect and see how he's doing, and just get some feedback from him and so forth. I just really believe the more granular we can get, the more expertise we can have, the better it is for both us and our client, right? And what you guys are doing just solidifies it even more. So when I see all the people you're talking to and the people you work with, the opportunity to insert myself and learn was the number one reason why. I mean, the benefits behind it, winning is great. I'm a super competitive guy. I want to win. But most important at all this is how much can I learn to both help our clients and then really help our agency, which we're coming up on the 4-year anniversary in May, but really this new version started in January of 24. So we're really right at this 2-year anniversary of what we're building now. And I think that's even shifting, this whole connection and this mindset shift of watching Killing Commercial, being in the Power Producer podcast, catching up on those as much as I can. Some of the connections I've already asked you about to help with has already changed, sort of what I'm doing. So the protege, as soon as I saw it and the opportunity, I wanted to see if I could get in. So thanks for the opportunity. I guess the video works. So
well, you got to put yourself out there, man, and you did.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, and this is the one thing that I say this over and over and over again, not as much for the people that are the contestants this season, but for the people who didn't put their name out there or think that they want to do it for season 4. And the one thing that I've been consistent in telling all y'all is, number one, there's 9 people, only one can win. Eight of
Yep.
you know, 8 people know or don't know, but 8 people have to lose. I mean,
Yeah.
have to come in not in first place. Nobody's going to lose in the whole deal.
Right.
But the way that I've set it up this time is you don't have challenges yet. And part of that's for a couple of reasons. But one of the main reasons is I don't want to start grading challenges and booting people until we've been through the majority of the guest mentor calls too, because, you know, you guys
Okay.
have the opportunity every Friday at 3 o'clock when I bring somebody in. I'm not bringing you somebody who's a half performer at what they do. Like, you're getting access to some of the best people in our industry at what they do. And that's the one thing I wanted everybody to make sure that they did was, even if, let's just say we already had the challenges and 2 people had been told they're not going to win, do not quit showing up for that stuff, because that's ultimately the real victory. Everybody who's in the top 9 has already won. They just have to take advantage of what's in front of them in order to maximize that. But I think you guys are all going to come out of this on the other side in a completely different headspace than what you came into it. And it's going to be 100% for the good. And to your point, just the network that you're going to build from being part of this is a completely different animal too. You know, you've messaged me about 2 or 3 referrals in the last week, and within 10
Oh
seconds of
yeah.
me getting the email, you've got the person, right? And that
Yeah.
helps. And that also comes back, because that's not something where, you know, you're just going to constantly give and give and give. People are going to reach out to you just the same, or reach out to me and ask me if I have somebody that I can recommend. And it's, you know, look, I'm only ever writing business in the 5 counties around Tampa, unless there's a reason for me otherwise to do that. But for
Wow.
prospecting and all of that, I don't have to go anywhere else. So I mean, I've got people in Killing Commercial in my network, even all over Florida, that I'm not worried about writing, because I've got plenty to keep me busy with what we know we're really good at and what our book's
Yep.
built on already.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, the 2 you sent me, I sent the prospect over in states that I couldn't do it, and they've already been taken care of. So,
Yeah.
and that's the network. You know, I'm big in networks. There's plenty of, you know, business out there for everyone. There's plenty of people that need help, and having that trusted network it's almost hard to put even a value on that, right? Just because if we have that network built, it makes it much easier.
It makes it easier on all involved too. I mean, that's the one thing, man. If I were to tell you the one skill set that I have that I think is probably the most valuable to me, it's the fact that I have the ability to connect people, period. And that's helped me dramatically just build my own referral network and my own advisory group and my own network of the peers that I run with and all of that. And it's grown by extension through the community, and then all of those people bring their network in. I mean, it's a pretty lethal force at this point. Like, I
Yep.
honestly think there's nothing, I don't think there's anything at all we can't get done at this point. Like, if you
Yep.
came to me with anything and you just gave me a few minutes, I'm probably going to find the solution to your problem if I don't have it directly from somebody else who's in there. And that's a pretty powerful position to be coming from, to be honest with you, because I can go out without any cares in the world about who I'm talking to, what I'm prospecting, and no, even if I'm not the one who could ultimately solve the problem, I'm probably connected the person who can.
Yep. Yep. And I always say too, that's one of the biggest things in insurance. Can you connect those dots? You know, because, you know, to me, I've been on both sides for a long time now. You know, we make insurance really complicated, and yes, there are a lot of aspects of it that can be, especially on coverage side. But on the agency side, I've kind of always led with, and one thing I love about you and what you teach and preach is, you know, if you can get out of the mindset of I'm selling insurance and understand that as an agency owner, I'm a marketing firm, right? I have to figure out if I can build a system that gives me consistent and predictable leads, right? Good clients that come through the door. The next part of that, which is 1A and 1B, is do we have the markets to solve their problems, right? Like that's number 2. If you can solve those 2 things in the insurance world, to me, where you go is almost limitless as long as you just do the work at that point. Now it's just get your rear end out of bed, strap up, and let's go get the job done. It's probably not going to be done in 6 or 8 hours. If that's your idea of what a job day is, this is probably not the best business for you. But if you can solve that 1A and 1B and predictable, consistent lead sources, and those leads match your markets, this isn't complicated. That first part's really hard though. Like that consistent, predictable leads I'm finding is really challenging because I get all kinds of different stuff, right? And I can solve the problem. But that leads me sometimes chasing my tail,
Yeah, it's
where
not always consistent, and it's certainly not always predictable as to what it's going to be, man. And that's
right.
part of it. I would say I would add a third thing to what you said, and that is solve their problems in addition to whatever their insurance pain is too, right? Because
Right.
most of the time, if they're having an issue with insurance, it's a symptom of a deeper, more rooted issue. But like we have the best job in the world as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you have to work for it. You have to put in the hours, but you get to meet a lot of really cool people. You get to see a
Yep.
lot of different businesses. You get to help those people, and ultimately, there's a certain feeling of satisfaction knowing you protected somebody from
Oh
the
yeah.
worst thing that could possibly have happened. But I mean, yesterday, for example, Grayson and I were out, took him with me to go on some site visits, and it was a referral from an existing account. But it was something that I would have probably handed it off to another producer, except for it came from my book of business. And I want to be clear, I'm certainly capable of writing. It's a chain of like bar and grill type beach bar restaurant slash concession stands, and they had locations all over the place. On the West Coast, there's like nine locations, and I came in, I worked the first half of the day in the office. In about 12:45, we jumped in my truck and we drove over, and we started right at the end of the Sunshine Skyway at this guy's bait and tackle shop that he owned. And then we went from there to the St. Pete Pier. Then we went from there to the other end of the St. Pete Pier because he had the restaurant concession place at the front. Then he also
Right.
owned the gift shop at the back. Then we went over to Madeira Beach, John's Pass, to a beach bar that he had over there. And I told Grayson, I mean, we were literally walking the properties, looking for issues so that I could make sure that when I went to underwriting, I could tell them, here's what I saw when I went. And it blew this guy's mind. Now, I want to be clear, this is not like a massive account, but it's not a small account either. It's about $250,000 in premium that he's paying between his GL liquor and all of that. And so the first time I talked to him, I'm like, I'm a little bit different in how I operate than probably what you're used to. So my first question is, how many other agents have you talked to? And he said, well, I've got 3 or 4 that are working on this now. And I'm like, well, I'm going to make this a really quick call for you. I'm not interested in participating. And he said, well, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean? And I'm like, if you've already got 3 or 4 agents that are out shopping for you and you're dealing with a non-renewal and you don't have any results yet, me going in and muddying the waters further isn't going to help you any, and it's certainly not going to help me either. It's a huge waste of both of our time. So it doesn't make sense. He goes, well, our mutual friend told me you were the one I needed to deal with. And I'm like, well, I appreciate that, but part of the reason why is because I know what my time's worth and I know
Yeah.
when to engage. And I said, he said, well, they haven't gotten me any numbers or anything. I said, fine, go fire them right now. Like, if that's the case, go tell them you don't need them to go to the marketplace, that you found somebody that can do
Love
it
it.
for you. And then you and I can talk. And I said, look, I know you've been working with your incumbent for 10 plus years now, and you're dealing with a non-renewal, and you're in a position where you want to at least give them the opportunity. I completely understand and respect that. By all means, let your incumbent do whatever they're doing, but nobody else. Like, there can't be anybody else. And here's the
Right.
reason why. And I took the time to explain it to him. And I said, you don't understand. You likely don't understand this because you've been with the same carrier for the last 10 years and you've never had to go to the marketplace. But you you can't go out and just flood the market. And I said, you don't have a negative reputation in the underwriting community because you've not really been out there for people to see your risk. I said, but what you are doing is you're having a lot of people see your risk from more than one agent in the first year you're going to market. And that's a massive red flag out in the underwriting community. And you don't want that to happen. You need,
Hmm.
and he said, well, what do you need from me? And I said, well, I need to get copies of your loss runs before anything else. That's going to tell me the story behind the non-renewal. It's going to tell me how I need to frame that. And most importantly, it's going to tell me how I need to approach underwriting to tell your story. I need to be able to tell your story as good as you can. So send me the loss information first. Once I've gotten through with that, I'll ask you for the next stuff that I need. Had the loss runs over immediately, 10 years worth. Then I said, I need you to go ahead and send me over you can send me complete copies of the policies if you want. I at least want to see the non-renewal, and I want to know, just shoot me the deck pages of the expiring so I can get the property schedule and everything. I don't need it for the ability to structure your program. I said, but I need to have the premiums off of that so that I have the ability to create a premium versus loss summary so I can show the underwriter, how your account's trended over those 10 years. So they send me over the insurance policies. Everything's got black marker through it.
Oh God.
And at that point, I'm like, we're not doing this. And then I softened up and I'm like, this is a referral from a client and this guy's not been through this exercise. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So he calls me, I call him and I said, hey, I'm not sure, maybe I wasn't clear in what I needed, but what you sent me, it looks like there was a glitch with your scanner because there's black lines through all the information. He goes, well, we just want to make sure that it's fair for everybody. And I'm like, hold on a second. I told you the reason I need that. I have to show the profitability of the account or the lack thereof. He said, yeah, but if I give you all of this, it's not really fair to my incumbent agent. I said, no. You're looking at this through the wrong lens. I said, if you give it to me with it all blacked out, you're giving me less information than what your incumbent agent has, but you want me to get the same or a better result. Like, that's not how this is going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So, long story short, he ends up getting that information over, and then I tell him, hey, I want to come and view everything, and look at everything and touch it and feel it. I find out the incumbent agent is from somewhere in another part of the country. They've never visited any of his locations before. They've never seen any of this stuff. They don't know how to tell the story in the marketplace. They're operating off of papers, and ended up being that we got to spend a half a day hanging out by the beach, going to some really cool places, talking to some really nice people, and that's what we get paid to do for a living. And I'm okay with that, man. I think that's probably the best case scenario for what we do. We put up with a lot of bad stuff that we have to deal with sometimes, but for all practical purposes, not very often.
Yeah, 100%. I love the idea of, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I had a cell phone connection issue, so I'm on the computer now. But yeah, no, I love that concept, and I'm gonna do that myself because we run into that often where clients shopping and you find out they've got multiple people, and my normal response is, in this early stage of agency ownership, is let me go see if I can beat them to the market, and I like that sounds better, is I'm not going to put myself in that position, waste your time and my time, and that's wasting everybody's time. Those other guys are all racing to the market as well, and somebody's going to block somebody out. And so no, I like that concept, and to me, I think it helps bring a different level of expertise and professionalism, right? Like, you may challenge the heart doctor on, hey, I'm going to get me a second opinion, but anything beyond that is like, what are we doing here? So I can appreciate.
That's the thing, man. Like when you go, like I told the guy, he's like, well, what do you need, sales or payrolls? I'm like, no, let me just come see your operations first. And he's like, well, what do you need to see that for? I said, because I want to determine if I'm going to take it to market or not. He goes, well, what do you mean? I'm like, if I don't think I can bring you value, I'm not going to waste your time or mine.
Right.
There may be a scenario where it makes sense for your incumbent to take this thing and run with it. And you know what? I'm willing to invest enough time to come see your stuff because maybe it'll lead something to down the road. You know what? Basically, what I did, Jeff, is I made myself scarce.
Yeah.
I mean, and I
Yeah.
didn't necessarily, I didn't do it intentionally as a ploy or a tactic. I did it because I'm conditioned to know what I'm worth, and I'm not doing
Sure.
anything that's outside of what that value is at this
That's
point.
exactly right.
And so on every single account that comes in, when I look at this stuff, I look at it through the lens of, am I going to make X number of dollars an hour doing this? And how much am I willing to give away for free on the front end? Well, guess what? It's not even 24 hours since we left and departed. And I've already gotten 2 calls from that guy today with questions about personal insurance.
Right.
Completely different thing, but
Yeah.
in his mind, in his mind, I'm his guy now
Yeah.
already. Like he's
For
coming to
everything.
me asking these questions, and we'll end up rounding out his personal lines and everything else. And I'm fairly confident we're going to handle his portfolio of restaurants that he owns based on how the meetings went. And I'm also
Well,
fairly confident he'll end up firing the incumbent and clearing the market for me
yep.
because he sees that I'm actually out doing things that I say I'm going to do. But the other thing is my competition's not doing this stuff, man.
Right.
Maybe they are locally, right? Maybe a local person, if they were competing on the account, would actually go out and visit a location or two. But when my competition's on the other side of the country, and that was one of the first things that I did the discovery call was when it's I do this every time. When your agent came out to do your mid-year claims review with you, what was the resolution for how to get some of this stuff closed out? Well, why did I ask that question? Because I knew the agent didn't go out and do it,
Yeah, exactly.
And you just make, and when you ask questions that way, people make the assumption, well, he asked me, my agent should have been out here to do that. Why would he ask me if that wasn't the case? And really, that was 100% intentional because that's exactly what I wanted them to think. And I wanted them to understand that having somebody local to represent them that could just pop in the truck and be over there in 20 minutes makes a lot more sense than having,
Yeah.
6-figure open claims for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. That's huge, man. I had to write that one down. Yeah.
That's something you should do with literally everything that you bring to the table. So audit prep, right? I'm a big believer that when you bring on an account, you need to support them at the time they have their workers' comp and GL audits because they don't know how to navigate that. And you know what? Let's just call it what it is. Most agents don't either. I don't care. Your job isn't to be an auditor. Your job is to be there to support your client. Whether you know what's happening in the audit or not, if you're sitting in the room, your client is a lot more at ease because you were there.
Yeah.
That's an easy deposit to make in your relational bank account with your client to go hang out with an auditor for 45 minutes or an hour. But if you take the time to learn how to do it and you help them prep for the audit, going through, not only are you gaining credibility with them, but you're also prospecting because you're getting certificates on every person they used as a subcontractor for something, and you can call on those people too.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
then you go in and you're sitting there with the auditor and you get them through that process. They've never had that happen before. So when I go talk to somebody and they complain about audits, the first thing I say is, well, when your agent did audit prep with you last year, what did the process look like?
That's great.
It didn't. It never happened. I don't have any business being an auditor. Like, that's not what I do. But at the end of the day, a lot of the auditing that happens these days, and this is not any disrespect to my career auditors, I think in fact, I think they would agree with me. It's way too easy to get a job as an insurance auditor these days. You could go take a class over the weekend and then get your card, and the next thing you know, you're ready to go have a financial impact on people's business with no real world experience whatsoever. And a lot of carriers outsource to third-party auditing firms. That's just not a good route to go. So we have to hold them accountable to some degree. I would tell you that there are a couple of carriers that I know exclusively use third-party auditors, and we have disputed almost 100% of the audits generated and won 90-some% of them because they were wrong. And so, agents need to be thinking through that, but it's not just about, I would never do it because I wouldn't know how to do the audit. You don't have to. You need to know what remuneration means and what it includes, and you can memorize that list, But it's crazy. we're in a service business, and service isn't that difficult, but it's amazing how many people don't get it.
The whole industry is just driven on. Let me get you a quote. Like literally the whole thing. Honestly, it's embarrassing. I have to fight it every day because I try to tell clients I meet with, the first thing I want to look at when we're looking at their policies is exclusions. What's the coverages that they have? Let's first make sure before I try to compare apples to oranges, let's make sure that what you currently have and what they're doing is somewhat right or right. And let's start there because the price is relative, right? Like you want to save money, but you're a tree guy and you have a policy coded as a handyman. you know, this is useless. It's a poopy flavored lollipop, right? It's useless,
Yep.
right?
100%.
So no, I'm 100% with that. This is really good, man. Good stuff. Because yeah, most people aren't doing that. I'm not doing that, and I love it. Like I don't do that, but it's another level of service that we should be doing. And like you said, that prep is.
Hey, here's a fun fact, man. I've got an audit prep ebook or whatever. I'll probably share it at some point during this season of Protege as an example. So take it and run with it. But at the end of the day, you want me to tell you how you support your client at audit? You help them prep for it. Then you schedule the audit for 3:00 on a Friday afternoon. The auditor's never going to stick around. They're going to show up, they're going to get the stuff, or they're going to ask you to email it. And then the audit's done. And guess what? The 3:00 Friday afternoon audits never seem to have a balance due.
Really? Yeah, because they're in and out.
They're in and out. Or they're doing it from home to check the box for the week.
Yeah, they're not even showing up. I gotcha. That's awesome. Well, I'll have to order that book too because I've ordered probably.
Oh no, man, that one's freebie. That's a part of a download that I use in our marketing.
Okay.
I'm going to share it with the Protege people.
Cool.
Just as
I ordered the extra 2 minutes. I ordered the car. I can't remember what it's called.
Driven to Close with Grayson.
Yeah. I ordered that, and then I think you got a workbook with that or something too. So I actually ordered
I got Dirty 130 extra 2 minutes. Dirty 130 has a workbook because that's the one that actually is guiding you through.
I think that's it.
Content.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
So it's funny. My son is up at University of North Alabama, and he's in a program called the Steele School of Professional Selling, and they travel around the country and compete with these other universities for Fortune 100 companies. So when they want to roll out a new product, these guys help them build the marketing and how are they going to bring it to the clients. It's super, super cool. Yeah. So his birthday was yesterday. So two of my presents were your book. Well, the extra 2 minutes was one. And then I sent him Phil Knight's book, the Nike guy's book. But yeah, no, so this is a good one too. So I told you, man, I'm a student mentality. I was a corporate trainer. I am 100%, like you say it all the time. If you're not learning, you're dying, So if we're, especially in what we do.
Well, it changes all the time, man.
I got a lot of movie quotes up here I don't want to lose, and the hard drive's really full, but there's some more room up there. I can shove out some other stuff that I don't need, So
yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the things that I think frustrates me more than anybody else is there's so many people in our industry that have a ton of potential and they just don't take that education piece seriously.
Yeah, and
we have to be good salespeople, but we also have to be good technicians to truly be like the 5-tool player. You have to take that part seriously, and there's so many times that you'll be online and somebody's in a Facebook group asking, where can I get my continuing ed online for the fastest and the cheapest? Yeah. And I'm thinking, dude, if you had brain surgery, is that what you want the doctor saying? You're supposed to be protecting somebody's most valuable asset that they own in their life. And you're wanting to get their continuing ed the fastest and the cheapest online so you can move on and continue to do other things. I also don't think you need 27 designations behind your name. I mean, I think you need to have a good balance there. But if you do, like I've got the CIC and the CRM. I have the CRM because I got that as doing the continuing ed for my CIC. And I'm like, might as well get another designation as a result of my effort. Why wouldn't I? And then I got the CWCA when we joined the Institute of Work Comp Professionals because I made that mandatory for everybody in my agency. If you come into the agency, you have to go get your CWCA. It's cheaper for me to hire Kevin's group to do that than it is for me to do it myself in the agency because it's what they're set up for. So I think, the education piece is huge. I'm going to wrap up here in just a second, but before I do, I've asked everybody the same thing. Who do you have your eye on? Like who are you looking over your? I'm going to assume you believe you're going to win. Who are you looking over your shoulder to try and see if they're breathing down your neck?
I can't think of all the names off the top of my head of all the competitors. I like the Mr. Hotel guy. I like his. I like
Joe.
his. Yeah, I like his niche. I like his branding. I like his video is really good. That's probably my main one, man. And again, there's some other really good ones in there, so I don't want to take away from anybody. But like you said, I'm a sports guy. I'm 50 years old now, so I'm not the athlete I was by any means. But yeah, I'm always pretty confident when I compete. This is a different one, of course, but I can tell you this: nobody will outwork me. I can tell you that. There
Love
won't
it.
be one person in here that will work harder than I'll work to win. I may not win, but I can tell you there is not a person more dedicated to working and accomplishing a goal that I set. There just isn't.
Well, the reality is, man, yeah, you can work for the prize of winning the competition, but at the end of the day, you're really working for your career. And again, everybody's going to win. If you're willing to work as hard as you can, you're
Dude,
going to win.
I've already won
Yeah,
some of the
this
contacts.
translates to way more than just being on a YouTube
Yeah.
show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm already winning just because the contacts you've helped me make in the last, even me taking the extra steps of the people in the past, the judges. I've reached out to a bunch of your Protege people. I don't know if you know this yet or not, but I've reached out to a bunch of them already, LinkedIn, Facebook,
Always
because to
happens.
me, that network is what this is about. They all have something that I can learn from. I may have something they can learn from. We don't know that until we connect and we have conversations, but I've already got a couple connections out of this that it's, as I told my one partner, which, we're have familiar people. So I know, Judson
Yeah, from Racona.
dear friend, man. I've known Judd for many years. I'm right here in Ocala where his old agency was, or not. I'm in Jacksonville, right where his old agency was. I'm from Ocala. Well, I was born in Tampa, so where you're at. I was born there. I used to live right off Lexington Boulevard and Bush Boulevard. I went to Miles Elementary off the interstate right there.
I know exactly where it is, man. I've got a good friend who teaches there.
Yeah, my mom used to work downtown. Big bucks guy, but so we run in those similar circles. But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I was telling my business partner up in New York who owns Authentic that a couple of these connections already has shifted so much what we're doing, and even the door, like the X mod for workers comp, man, you blown my mind in the last week. I've watched so many podcasts and I'm creating like a whole brand for workers comp because I believe exactly what you're saying.
Well, especially here too, especially in Florida.
Yeah, nobody's approaching it the way you're approaching it. And I've already in one day of just doing some stuff on Facebook and having some conversations, I've opened 2 doors to have pretty good, for me, good size accounts. Like I know you said 250 is not a big account for you. That would be a huge account for us.
Well, no,
right?
no, I want to be clear. That's a great account for me.
Yeah.
It's not 2.5 million though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And hey, I'll take that one too.
Yeah.
These are like 50, 60, really good accounts for us.
Perfect. Right down the middle, man. Bread and butter.
Perfect. Right. And so that's the more I see it, the more I hear it. Like I was just watching a Power Producer podcast more on the AI mod stuff. And yeah, I'm so stoked. I'm already winning. Like I said, man, I'd love to get the title, but
here's the reason it works, because very few people go in and lead with workers comp and the mod. Very few. Of the people who do, almost 100% of them are monoline workers comp agencies. That's all they do.
Right.
We're not. So if we can go in and have that same level of expertise, but we can handle all their needs.
Yeah.
If you go deep in the workers comp and you break all of that down and show them the business case behind it, they just make the assumption you're every bit as good at the rest of the lines of coverage and you take the entire account.
Well, I met with Warren Cleveland for about an hour yesterday.
Oh, I'm sure that was a meeting filled with conversation.
I told you we have a couple small captives already for Anytime Fitness and some restaurant stuff, but no, that was a whole nother like just complete mind-blowing conversation. And when you add the intro to workers comp, and if you get access or chances at those bigger accounts and you have a Warren behind you, dude, that's what I said. I'm already winning. Like no matter what
It's
even
crazy,
happens
man.
today, I'm freaking winning. So yeah, I again, man, just so stoked. Kudos. You're gonna get everything I got, 110%. We're gonna have some fun too. And hey, I hope everybody's ready because I'm ready too.
We're ramping up, man. You guys got Bob Paskins at 3:00 today.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on his hype reel to be. They gave them a deadline of 1:00, so
Yeah.
I'm anxiously awaiting it. But he's going to be another good one for you. So
Super
I look
stoked,
forward
brother.
to that. All right, brother. I'm gonna let you run. Everybody else, we'll catch you next time. See ya.